I watched my wife romanticize single life and call our marriage a trap. I gave 30 days with bills, chores, and silence, until gratitude for us hit. My wife thought marriage was a prison sentence. Well, she certainly did, and she wasn't shy about letting me know it either. It started small random comments here and there, about how her single friends seemed so much happier, so much freer, how they could go out whenever they wanted, sleep in on weekends, spend their money on whatever caught their fancy. At first I brushed it off. Everyone complains sometimes, right? Marriage isn't always sunshine and rainbows. But then it got worse, much worse. "Look at Jessica," she'd say, scrolling through social media for the 100th time that day. "She's in Cabo this weekend with her girlfriends. When's the last time I could just pack up and leave?" I'd remind her that Jessica was also eating ramen noodles for dinner 3 nights a week and lived in a studio apartment with paper-thin walls. But that didn't matter. The grass was always greener. Then came the comments about our routine, how boring our life had become, how she felt trapped by our mortgage, our responsibilities, our shared commitments. Every conversation somehow circled back to how much better single women had it, how they didn't have to check with anyone before making plans, how they could flirt with whoever they wanted, how they could come and go as they pleased. I tried talking to her about it. I tried explaining that marriage was a partnership, not a prison, that the stability and support we provided each other was worth more than the fleeting excitement of single life. But she wasn't hearing it. In her mind, she'd given up her freedom for security, and now she was having second thoughts. The breaking point came on a Friday night. We were out with another couple, having dinner at this nice Italian place downtown. Everything was going well until the conversation turned to their friend, who'd just gotten divorced. "Good for her," my wife said, raising her wine glass. "She's finally free to live her life again. No more checking in, no more compromises, no more sharing everything with someone else." Our friends looked uncomfortable. The husband shifted in his seat, clearly not wanting to be part of this conversation. His wife tried to change the subject, but mine wasn't done. "I mean, think about it," she continued, her voice getting louder. "Single women can do whatever they want, whenever they want. They don't have to worry about anyone else's feelings or opinions. They can focus entirely on themselves." That's when she looked directly at me and said the words that changed everything. "Sometimes I think single women have it so much better than married ones." The table went silent. Our friends stared at their plates. The waiter, who'd been approaching to refill our water, did a quick U-turn. Even the couple at the next table stopped talking. I felt something shift inside me, not anger, not hurt, but something else entirely. Clarity. I took a sip of my wine, set the glass down carefully, and smiled. "You know what? You might be right." She blinked, clearly not expecting that response. "What?" "You might be absolutely right about single women having it better. Maybe it's time you found out for yourself." The confusion on her face was priceless. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about giving you exactly what you want, a chance to test that theory of yours." Our friends exchanged glances. The husband looked like he wanted to disappear into his chair. But I wasn't done. "You've been talking about this for months now. How much better single women have it. How free they are. How much more exciting their lives are. Well, I think it's time you experience that freedom firsthand." She laughed nervously. "You're being ridiculous." "Am I? You just told a table full of people that you think single women have it better than married ones. You've been saying it for months, so let's test it." The waiter finally worked up the courage to approach our table again. I ordered another bottle of wine. We were going to need it. "What exactly are you suggesting?" she asked, her voice smaller now. "I'm suggesting we give you a taste of that single life you've been romanticizing. 30 days, you can experience all the freedom you think you're missing out on." She stared at me like I'd lost my mind. "Are you talking about separation?" "I'm talking about you getting what you want, the chance to live like those single women you envy so much. No checking in, no compromises, no shared responsibilities. Just pure, unadulterated freedom." Our friends were now openly staring. The husband cleared his throat. "Maybe we should." "No, this is perfect timing," I interrupted. "She's been building up to this for months, making it clear that she feels trapped by our marriage, that she thinks single women have it so much better. Well, now's her chance to prove it." My wife's face was flushed, whether from embarrassment or anger, I couldn't tell. "You're making a scene." "I'm making a point. You want to know what it's like to be single? To have all that freedom you think you're missing? Then let's make it happen." The silence stretched on. Our friends looked like they wanted to be anywhere else in the world. The couple at the next table had given up all pretense of not listening. Finally, she spoke. "Fine. if that's what you want. It's not what I want. It's what you want. You've made that crystal clear. I signaled for the check. This conversation was over, but the real test was just beginning. As we left the restaurant, I could hear the whispers from other tables. Our friends promised to call later, but I knew they wouldn't. Nobody wants to get involved in this kind of drama. The drive home was silent, but my mind was racing. She wanted to know what it was like to be single. She was about to find out, and I had a feeling it wasn't going to be quite the paradise she'd imagined. The game was about to begin, and I was holding all the cards. The next morning, she woke up expecting me to apologize, to say I'd had too much wine and didn't mean what I said. But I was already up, drinking coffee and reading the news like nothing had happened. About last night, she started, sitting down across from me at the kitchen table. What about it? You were just upset. I get it. Maybe I was a little harsh. I looked up from my phone. Harsh? You told a room full of people that you think single women have it better than married ones. That's not harsh. That's honest. She shifted uncomfortably. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it then? Because you've been saying the same thing for months about how trapped you feel, how much freedom you're missing, how much better your single friends have it. I was just venting. No, you were making a point, and I heard you loud and clear. I stood up and poured myself another cup of coffee. So let's make this official. 30 days. You get to experience all that freedom you've been talking about. She laughed, but it sounded forced. You're not serious. Dead serious. You want to know what it's like to be single? Here's your chance. This is ridiculous. We're married. And you've made it clear that you see that as a burden rather than a blessing. So let's remove the burden. I sat back down and pulled out my phone. I've been thinking about this all night. Here's how it works. Her eyes widened. You actually planned this out? Of course I did. You think I'd make a decision like this without thinking it through? I opened the Notes app on my phone. Rule number 1, complete financial independence. You pay for everything you want, everything you need. No shared accounts, no asking me to cover anything just like a single woman would. That's insane. Rule number 2, complete social freedom. You can go out whenever you want, wherever you want, with whoever you want. No checking in, no explanations needed, just like you said single women do. She was staring at me now. You're really doing this. Rule number 3, complete domestic independence. You handle all your own responsibilities, cooking, cleaning, laundry, everything. No shared chores, no help from me, just like you'd have to if you were actually single. This is childish. Rule number 4, complete emotional independence. No leaning on me for support. No expecting me to be there when you need someone to talk to. You want the single life? You get all of it. I put my phone down. Those are the rules. 30 days. You experience the complete freedom you've been craving. She was quiet for a long moment. And what about you? What are you going to do during these 30 days? I smiled. Whatever I want, just like you. This is stupid. Is it? Or are you just realizing that maybe being single isn't the paradise you thought it was? She stood up abruptly. Fine. If this is what you want, then fine. But don't expect me to come crawling back when you realize how ridiculous this is. I won't. And just so we're clear, the 30 days starts now. She grabbed her purse and keys. I'm going to work. Have fun. And remember, you're paying for your own gas now. The door slammed behind her. I finished my coffee in peace. About an hour later, my phone buzzed a text from her. This is insane. When you're ready to be an adult about this, let me know. I didn't respond. She wanted to test the theory that single women have it better. Game on. The first few days were interesting. She came home from work expecting dinner, but I'd only made enough for myself. Where's my food? She asked, staring at my plate. In the kitchen. Feel free to make whatever you want. You didn't cook for me. Single women cook for themselves, remember? She stood there for a moment, then went to the kitchen. 20 minutes later, she emerged with a peanut butter sandwich. This is ridiculous, she muttered. This is freedom, I corrected. By day 3, she was getting frustrated. She'd made plans to go out with friends, but when she checked her bank account, she realized she didn't have as much spending money as she thought. Turns out, when you're not splitting expenses with someone else, everything costs more. I can't afford to go out as much as I want, she complained. Welcome to single life. Most single people can't afford to go out every night, but Jessica does. Jessica also has 3 roommates and drives a car that's older than some of our neighbors' kids. She didn't have a response to that. By the end of the first week, the complaints were coming daily. The house was a mess because she wasn't keeping up with cleaning. She was eating terrible food because she didn't want to cook elaborate meals for one person. She was tired because she was staying up late trying to maintain her social life but still had to get up early for work. "This isn't working," she said on Sunday morning. "What isn't working?" "This whole thing, this experiment or whatever you want to call it." I looked up from my book. "It's only been a week. You've been talking about wanting this freedom for months. Surely you need more than a week to properly test it." "I'm not happy." "Are you happier than you were before?" She paused. "That's not the point." "That's exactly the point. You said single women have it better. Are you feeling better?" "It's different than I expected." "How so?" She sat down heavily on the couch. "It's lonely and expensive and exhausting." "Interesting. Almost like there might be some benefits to sharing your life with someone." She looked at me, then really looked at me. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" "I'm enjoying watching you learn something I've been trying to tell you for months, that what we have isn't a prison, it's a partnership. And partnerships have value." She was quiet for a long moment. "So what happens now?" "Now you have 3 more weeks to figure out if single life is really what you want. And if you decide it's not, then you'll have learned something valuable about appreciation." She went to her room without another word, but I could see the wheels turning. The real test was just beginning. Week 2 hit her like a freight train. The novelty of her freedom had worn off, and reality was setting in hard. I watched her struggle with grocery shopping. She'd always complained about how we had to coordinate our schedules, how she couldn't just buy whatever she wanted. Now she stood in the cereal aisle for 10 minutes staring at prices. When you're paying for everything yourself, suddenly that expensive organic stuff doesn't seem so essential. She came home with generic brands and a receipt that still made her wince. "Groceries are expensive," she said, unpacking her bags. "They always were. You just didn't notice because we split everything." Meanwhile, I was thriving. I'd started going to the gym again, something I'd let slide because she always wanted to do something together in the evenings. I reconnected with old friends, planned a weekend fishing trip, even took that photography class I'd mentioned years ago. "You seem happy," she observed one evening, watching me edit photos on my laptop. "I am. Turns out being single has its perks too." She didn't like that answer. The social aspect was hitting her hardest. Those single friends she'd envied were great for a girl's night out. But when she wanted to stay in and watch movies, they weren't interested. When she had a bad day at work, they were busy with their own lives. Single people don't have built-in emotional support systems. "Jessica canceled on me again," she said, hanging up her phone. "What was the reason this time?" "She met some guy online. They're going out tonight." "Ah, the dating scene. How's that treating you?" She shot me a look. "I'm not dating anyone." "Why not? You're experiencing single life. Dating is a big part of that." She didn't answer, but I could see the wheels turning. The thought of actually dating other people, of starting over, of dealing with all the games and uncertainty that comes with modern dating, was clearly overwhelming. By week 3, she was a mess. The house was chaos because she couldn't keep up with everything alone. She'd burned 3 dinners trying to cook for one person. Her clothes were wrinkled because she kept putting off laundry until she ran out of clean underwear. "I hate this," she said, sitting on the couch surrounded by unfolded laundry. "What specifically?" "All of it. The responsibility, the loneliness, the expense, everything. But you have all that freedom you wanted. It's not what I thought it would be." "What did you think it would be?" She was quiet for a moment. "I thought it would be like a vacation, like I could just do whatever I wanted without consequences. And now? Now I realize that freedom without partnership is just responsibility with no support." I nodded. "That's a pretty mature observation." "I miss you," she said quietly. "I'm right here." "No, you're not. You're physically here, but you're not here. You're not my partner anymore, you're just my roommate." "That's what you wanted." "No, it's not. I wanted appreciation. I wanted you to understand that I sacrificed things for this marriage. And now I understand that you sacrifice things too. That we both give up certain freedoms, but we get something better in return." She started crying then, not the manipulative tears I'd seen before, but real, genuine grief. "I messed up," she whispered. "Yes, you did. I took what we had for granted. Yes, you did. I made you feel unappreciated." "You did." She looked up at me. "Can we fix this?" "I don't know. Can we?" "I want to try." "Wanting and doing are different things." "Then tell me what I need to do." I leaned forward. You need to understand that marriage isn't a prison. It's a choice, and every day we choose to be together. But when you spend months telling me how much better single life is, you're telling me you'd rather choose something else. But I wouldn't. I know that now. Knowing and proving are different things too. She wiped her eyes. How do I prove it? You don't. Not to me. You prove it to yourself. You figure out what you actually want, and then you live that choice. I want this. I want us. Then show me, not with words but with actions. Show me that you choose this partnership every day. She nodded. The 30 days aren't over yet. No, they're not. You've got one more week to really understand what you're choosing. She went to bed that night looking thoughtful. The next morning, she was up early making breakfast for both of us. What's this? I asked. I'm choosing to take care of my partner, she said simply. It was a start. The final week was when things got really interesting. She'd started trying to slip back into our old routines, but I wasn't making it easy. I made dinner for both of us, she announced when I came home from work. That's nice. I already ate. What? When? I stopped by that new steakhouse downtown, had a great meal and interesting conversation with the bartender. Her face fell. You didn't tell me you were going out. Single people don't check in with each other, remember? Besides, you're still testing your theory. She set down the serving spoon harder than necessary. The experiment is stupid. Is it? Or are you just realizing that you preferred the security of marriage to the uncertainty of single life? I already admitted that. Admitting and understanding are different things. That weekend, she made plans with her friends but came home early. I was on the couch reading. How was your night? I asked without looking up. Boring. They just wanted to complain about their dating lives and talk about guys who won't commit. Sounds rough. It made me realize something. What's that? They're not happy. They pretend to be, but they're not. They're constantly searching for something, someone, some experience that will make them feel complete. I marked my page and looked at her. And you? I had that. I had someone who was committed to me, who wanted to build a life with me, and I spent months complaining about it. Why do you think you did that? She sat down on the other end of the couch. I think I got comfortable. I took for granted that you'd always be there. So I focused on what I thought I was missing instead of what I had. That's a fair assessment. I see my friends struggling with loneliness, with financial stress, with a constant pressure to find someone, and I realized I was romanticizing their struggles. The grass is always greener. Exactly. But now you've been on the other side of the fence and it's not greener. It's just different grass, with different problems. I nodded. So what have you learned? That partnership isn't about losing yourself. It's about choosing to build something bigger than yourself. And that freedom without connection is just loneliness with extra steps. She was getting it. Finally, the 30 days are almost up, I said. I know. What do you want to happen when they're over? She looked at me directly. I want to choose you every day, not because I have to, but because I want to. And how do I know you won't go back to complaining about how trapped you feel? Because I know what being actually trapped feels like now. It's not having a partner. It's being alone with all your problems and no one to share them with. I closed my book. You know what the funny thing is? What? I've been happier these past few weeks than I've been in months. Her face crumpled. Because you were away from me? No. Because I wasn't constantly being told how miserable you were. I wasn't walking on eggshells wondering when you'd make another comment about how much better single life is. She was quiet for a long moment. I made you feel like you weren't enough. You made me feel like I was holding you back. You weren't. You were holding me up, I know that now. Question is, do you? Yes, I really do. Then prove it. How? By choosing this. Not just saying you choose it, but actually choosing it every day in small ways and big ways. Like what? Appreciating what we have instead of focusing on what we don't have. Like building me up instead of tearing down what we've built together. She nodded. I can do that. We'll see. You don't trust me. I don't trust words anymore. I trust actions. Then let me show you. The next morning, she was up early again. But this time, she wasn't just making breakfast. She was packing me a lunch. What's this for? Because I want to take care of you. Because I choose to. It was a small gesture, but it meant everything. She wasn't doing it because she had to, or because she was trying to get back in my good graces. She was doing it because she wanted to. That evening, she had a different energy, lighter, more purposeful. I've been thinking, she said over dinner, About all the things I complained about, the mortgage, the shared responsibilities, the routine. I framed them as burdens, but they're actually investments. Investments in what? In us, in our future, in something stable and lasting. I smiled. Now you're getting it. I wasted so much time being ungrateful. Not wasted, learned from. She reached across the table and took my hand. Thank you. For what? For not giving up on us. For making me face what I was really asking for. You're welcome. Tomorrow is day 30. It is. What happens then? Then we decide if we want to stay married or if you want to keep testing your theory. I already know what I want. Good. Because I know what I want too. Day 30 arrived with a different atmosphere in the house. She was up before me, which was unusual. When I came to the kitchen, she had coffee ready and was sitting at the table with a notebook. What's all this? I asked, pouring myself a cup. I've been writing down everything I learned these past 30 days, such as... She looked up from her notes. That I was selfish, that I was ungrateful, that I was so focused on what I thought I was missing that I completely ignored what I had. I sat down across from her. Those are good realizations. I also wrote down what I want moving forward. I'm listening. I want to be the kind of wife who builds you up instead of tearing you down. I want to appreciate our stability instead of complaining about our routine. I want to choose gratitude over entitlement. Those are nice words. I know you don't trust words anymore, but I needed to say them anyway. Why? Because I need to hear myself say them. I need to acknowledge how wrong I was. She closed the notebook. I also need to apologize, really apologize. For what specifically? For making you feel like you weren't enough. For making our marriage sound like a burden instead of a blessing. For embarrassing you in front of our friends. For taking your commitment for granted. I studied her face. She meant it. The defensiveness was gone, replaced by genuine remorse. I accept your apology. Just like that? The apology, yes. But apologies don't erase consequences. Her face fell slightly. What kind of consequences? The kind where trust has to be rebuilt, where respect has to be returned, where I have to believe that you've actually changed, not just that you're scared of being alone. How do I do that? Time and consistency. Show me over months, not days, that you choose this marriage. Show me that you value what we have, instead of focusing on what you don't have. She nodded. I can do that. We'll see. There's something else I want to tell you. What's that? I called Jessica yesterday. Oh? I told her I was done complaining about my marriage, that I'd learned some hard lessons about appreciating what I have. How did she take that? She got defensive. Started talking about how I was settling, how I was giving up my independence. It was like listening to myself from a month ago. And I realized that misery loves company. She doesn't want me to be happy in my marriage because it highlights how unhappy she is being single. That's a mature observation. I'm done with those conversations. I'm done with the toxic single friends who want me to be as miserable as they are. Good for you. I want to surround myself with people who support our marriage, not people who undermine it. I was impressed. She was thinking beyond just apologizing. She was thinking about the environment and influences that had contributed to her attitude. What else did you learn? That independence and partnership aren't opposites. I can be strong and independent while still being committed to us. How so? I can pursue my own interests, have my own goals, maintain my own identity, all while choosing to share my life with you. It's not either or. That's exactly right. I also learned that security isn't boring. It's valuable. Knowing that someone has your back, that you're building something together, that you don't have to face life alone, that's not a prison, that's a privilege. She was getting it. Really getting it. So, what do you want? I asked. I want us. I want this marriage. I want to be your partner, not your burden. And if I said I needed more time to trust that you've really changed, then I'd respect that. I'd keep showing you, day after day, that I choose you. And if I said I wasn't sure we could get back to where we were, then I'd ask if we could build something even better. That caught my attention. Better how? Better because now I know what I could lose. Better because I won't take it for granted. Better because I understand the value of what we have. I leaned back in my chair. You know what the hardest part of these 30 days was for me? What? Realizing how much happier I was when I wasn't constantly being told how miserable you were. It made me see how toxic that had become. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be different. I will be. Prove it. She stood up and walked around the table. I choose you, not because I'm afraid of being alone, but because I want to be with you. I choose our mortgage because it's our home. I choose our routine because it's our life. I choose our shared responsibilities because they're investments in our future. And I choose you too. But I need you to understand something. What? If you ever make me feel like I'm holding you back again, if you ever make me feel like this marriage is a burden to you, there won't be another 30-day experiment. There will just be divorce papers. She nodded seriously. I understand. Do you? Yes. You're not going to tolerate being taken for granted ever again. That's right. Good. Because I don't want to take you for granted ever again. She kissed me then, and it felt different, not desperate or apologetic, but grateful. Chosen. So what happens now? She asked. Now we see if you can live up to your promises. I can. We'll see. But for the first time in months, I believed her. 3 months later, I knew she meant every word she'd said. It wasn't just the big gestures, though those mattered. It was the small things that convinced me. The way she'd catch herself before complaining about our routine and instead comment on how nice it was to have stability. The way she'd talk about our mortgage payments as investments in our future rather than burdens. The way she'd speak about our marriage to others. The real test came when Jessica called with drama about her latest dating disaster. I don't know why I keep trying, Jessica whined over speakerphone. Men are all the same. They just want to play games. My wife looked at me across the kitchen table, then back at her phone. Maybe the problem isn't men, Jessica. Maybe the problem is that you're looking for someone to complete you instead of someone to complement you. What's that supposed to mean? It means you're trying to find someone to solve your problems instead of someone to share your life with. There's a difference. Easy for you to say. You're married. Yes, I am. And I'm grateful for it every day. The conversation ended shortly after that. Jessica wasn't interested in hearing about gratitude or commitment. She wanted someone to validate her complaints, and my wife was no longer willing to do that. I'm proud of you, I told her after she hung up. For what? For setting boundaries. For refusing to participate in toxic conversations about marriage. I learned from the best. How so? You set boundaries with me. You refused to tolerate disrespect. You showed me what self-respect looks like. She was right. The experiment hadn't just taught her lessons about single life versus married life. It had taught her lessons about respect, boundaries, and consequences. But the biggest change was in how she approached our relationship. Instead of focusing on what she was giving up, she focused on what we were building together. Instead of seeing our shared responsibilities as burdens, she saw them as investments. I have something to tell you, she said one evening as we were cleaning up after dinner. What's that? I got offered a promotion at work. That's great. Congratulations. It would mean more travel, more time away from home. And 6 months ago, I would have jumped at it. I would have seen it as an escape, as freedom. But now I see it as time away from what I've built with you. Time away from our home, our routine, our life together. So you're turning it down? I'm turning it down because I choose this. I choose us. I choose what we have over what I might gain. Are you sure? Completely. The promotion will come around again. But this, what we have, this is what I want to invest in. That night, as we were getting ready for bed, she brought up the restaurant incident. Do you remember that night at the Italian place? Hard to forget. I was so angry at you for embarrassing me. And now I'm grateful. You could have let me keep complaining, keep taking you for granted. You could have just suffered in silence until you couldn't take it anymore. Instead, you gave me exactly what I thought I wanted. You let me learn the hard way that I was wrong. It was a risk. What do you mean? I risked losing you. There was a chance you'd experience single life and decide you preferred it. Were you worried about that? At first. But by the end of the first week, I could see you were struggling. By the end of the second week, I knew you were learning. By the end of the third week, I was confident you'd choose us. How could you be so sure? Because I know you better than you knew yourself, apparently. She laughed. You played me. I gave you what you asked for. There's a difference. You're right. I asked for something I didn't really want, and you were wise enough to let me discover that for myself. And now? Now I never want to take this for granted again. I want to choose you every day, not just when things are easy. Good. Because marriage isn't about finding someone you can live with. It's about finding someone you can't live without. I can't live without you. I know. And I can't live without you either. 6 months later, she was telling the story to her sister, who was going through her own marital difficulties. "So what did you learn?" her sister asked. "That the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. That's it. That's everything. I spent so much time looking at what other people had that I forgot to appreciate what I had. I spent so much time focusing on what I was giving up that I forgot to celebrate what I was gaining. And he just let you figure it out. He forced me to figure it out. He gave me exactly what I said I wanted and let me discover why I was wrong. That's either really smart or really risky. It was both, but it worked." Later that night, as we were lying in bed, she turned to me. "Do you think we're stronger now?" "Definitely." "Why?" "Because we've been tested. We've seen what we could lose, and we've chosen what we want to keep. I love you. I love you too. Even after everything. Especially after everything." She was quiet for a moment. "Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for not giving up on us. I almost did, but you didn't, and that's what matters. I'm glad you helped me test my theory. And I'm glad I was wrong." "Me too." The experiment was over, but the lessons lasted forever. She learned that freedom without partnership is just loneliness with extra steps. I learned that sometimes the best way to save a marriage is to risk losing it. Most importantly, we both learned that marriage isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone worth fighting for, worth choosing, worth building a life with. And we chose each other not because we had to, but because we wanted to. Every single day.